I am here in my office and I'm so excited. I never ever do this, but we're publishing a book. Free Grace Press is publishing a book that I have recently modernized as a book that I had heard about but had not ever read. But over the last couple months, I've been reading a little book called Christ Exalted by a 17th century Reformed Baptist who happened to be one of the few that signed the first London Baptist Confession of Faith and the second London Baptist Confession of Faith. For the time he lived, he was born in 1598, maybe 1599, and then he lived all the way up to the 1690s. I think he was 93 or 94 when the Lord took him home to heaven. He had to, this man had to flee for persecution's sake because he became a nonconformist, had to flee to America. And for 5 years, he planted a church and pastored a church here in the New England states. Then afterwards, he went back to England because his father was sick. And then he had to run again to Holland and into Germany. Amazing man. And I'm speaking about Hansard Nollies, who wrote this excellent book that has been out of print for years called Christ Exalted. And as I was reading it, I could not believe the gold mine of truth, not just how wonderful it was, but how Christ was lifted up in such a way that it calls me to love the Lord all the more. And so what I've done is taken the book, I've got it in front of me, Christ Exalted, and modernized it. I've broken down the paragraphs, I put chapter divisions, I've updated the language, and where I made some transitional statements, I put those statements in brackets so you know when I'm talking and when the author's talking. But the book is probably one of the best books I've ever read in my life. And I know that sounds crazy, but there's been 3 books in my life that we published that I think every Christian needs to read. One is Henry Scrugle's little book, The Life of God and the Soul of Man. Every Christian needs to read that 5 times, 10 times, once a year. I try to read it once a year. And every time I read it, I can't believe how good it is. You know, it's one of those things, one of those books, every time you read it, you see something that you didn't see before. And I think I just want everyone to read that book. And the second book is a little book called Honey in the Rock of Christ by Thomas Wilcox. That's a little bitty book. I give that book out. I give out hundreds of those books, and I've promoted that book for years. It's been one of the best-selling books that we have published. But with that, in that line, in fact, it may be even better than those two, is Christ Exalted, because it gives us a rich picture of who Jesus is, and it gives us a greater love for what he's done for us, and it puts all the glory, all the majesty in him. And it's a very devotional read, and it warms the heart. It's a book that I want everyone to read, and because I want everyone to read, I don't want to make money off of it. So what we're going to do, which is kind of insane, to basically give it away, but we're going to, there's going to be 132 books in a case. And for those who want this book, and you need to get this book and give it out like candy. You need to give it out to all the parishioners. If you're a pastor, you need to give it to people in the malls. You need to go to the parks and just hand them out to people. It's really an extended sermon. It's not a very big book. It's only 80 pages, but the font's really huge. It's really simple to read. It's a book that every page is gold, and it's got the gospel in there. It's got Christ Exalted in there. So I've read it 5 times or 6 times in the last month, and I can't believe this is as good as any of the Puritan paperbacks that Benner Troop puts out, and I love the Puritans. And so this is a Reformed Baptist, 17th century Reformed Baptist. It's coming out mid-January. We'll be ready to ship them in a case, by a case, for $300. $300 for a case of 132. That just puts the book just slightly over $2 a book. And that's us just trying to pass on the book to you guys so that you will help distribute it, pass it out, give it out, read it, give it to your parents, give it to your kids, give it to your grandkids, give it to your aunts and uncles. Throw them around like candy. I'm serious. I wish we go through tens of thousands of these books. That's my prayer, is that this book will be revived and spread around this country. And so help us do that. And so if you are interested in this, it won't come out until mid-January. So if you're interested in buying a case for $300, email us at support@freegracepress.com. So if you're interested, email us at support@freegracepress.com.